This is J. Krishnamurti's discussion with students in Ojai, California, 1972.
What should we discuss?
Well, perhaps since we're all young, perhaps we can discuss where youth is going today.
What?
Where youth is going today. What do you think about the direction we seem to be headed?
Where is youth going today? Is that what you want to discuss?
Well, perhaps just for starters, we can other things.
Do you think the youth is very serious? Or is just playing around? Would you consider, if I may ask, that you are very serious? Each one of you? Or are you shopping around? Going to various things according to your fancy, according to your temperament, inclination, or the pressure of public opinion, pressure of the youth around you. So what would you call yourself? Serious? Or partly serious?
Isn't shopping around serious?
Big one?
Isn't shopping around serious?
Is it?
It's kind of like a serious need or something, but maybe...
Shopping around. Why do you shop around?
Well, perhaps different organizations, groups.
Different organizations, groups, different gurus, different method systems. You know, the whole gamut of what is being offered from Fifth Avenue to California. And such people, where are they shopping around? Or is this whole business of shopping around is totally wrong? Because you're going to choose, aren't you, when you shop around? You're going to choose, aren't you? Right? On what is this choice based on?
Prior conditioning.
Big one?
Prior conditioning.
According to your, you're going to choose according to your conditioning.
Well, you could also choose if you're fairly evolved for what's going to benefit yourself and those around you.
So,
Not necessarily in
but
this order.
even that choice of benefit and all the rest of it, what is that based on?
It would have to be based on values.
What are those values based on?
Previous experience.
Yes, isn't it? So you choose in your shopping around according to your conditioning, according to your like and dislike, according to what you think the shop has to offer, the guru, the teacher, the organization has to offer, and you're all pursuing according to your particular pleasure and inclination. Isn't that so? And are such people serious? Sorry. Take, for instance, there are so many organizations, each offering what they consider to be the truth. There are so many gurus, swamis, yogis, saying, we have experienced, we know what truth is, we will give you something of that if you do this. There is the whole Krishna conscious group, you know probably about it. There is the whole Vedanta group, the Theosophical group, the, multitudinous groups, especially when the world is in chaos, right? And one comes along and says, now which is the best of these? Right? And how do you choose? How can you choose? How do you know what is the real amidst all these gurus you follow? How do you know? Or you don't do any shopping at all. I should think that would be the sanest thing to do. No shopping, no choosing, but trying to say, look, let's find out for myself. I want to find out. I won't join any group, any sect, any religion, any guru, any offering. I won't accept a thing from anybody. Not that I'm proud or vain or that I know, but I want to find out. I really want to find out. Not according to Christianity, to Jesus, I want to find out. Right? Wouldn't such a person be serious? Such a person would obviously, the first thing would be to discard totally every form of authority. No? The authority of the guru, the authority of those people who say, we know, you listen to us. So, if you are serious that way, that is, you discard all organizational, spiritual achievement, their way, all gurus, all organizations which promise heaven, which means you are willing to stand alone to find out what is the real thing. Right, sirs? Are you like that? I'm sorry to throw it back onto you. Otherwise, our discussion has no meaning. You follow?
But don't you think that perhaps various groups saying, well, not professing to know the one truth, could offer like a channel or a means to that truth?
Can they? Examine it, sir. I come along and say, look, I have found a system which will both benefit the outer world and the inner world, a system by which, if you practice it, you will achieve tremendous energy, tremendous knowledge, and so on, so on, so on. Right? Now, what will you do with my offer? Experiment with it? Huh?
Test it.
Why?
Because it's perhaps what you discover now.
Wait. Why? Go into it, sir. Go into it. Step by step, find out. Why do you accept what I say? Because I have a following? Because I'm supposed to be well known? Because there is all this 40, 50 years of build-up? Or do you say, look, let me examine what you're saying? Huh? What are you saying? You have to exercise your mind, your brain, to find out. And I say, look, I have experienced and I have found whatever it is I have found, and I offer it to you. I say, my God, you may be, your experience may be absolutely nothing. Why should you accept my experience? Why should you accept any experience? You don't, including yours. You follow, sir? So can we, this morning, start really critically, you follow, examining everything, tearing everything to pieces to find out. Do you want to do that? I'm afraid not quite. Is that it?
We could start from the fact that we're all made of atoms.
All made of?
We're made of atoms, and that isn't the starting point either. But that's starting from a basic building block.
So could we start not with any assumption, saying, I really don't know.
That's the best place to start.
Isn't that the best place? I don't know. Let's find out. Not about biological, physiological things. You can ask that if you're a student of biology or a physicist or a scientist. You'll find all the explanations of the physical organism and how it came to being and all the rest of that. But if you want to go into psychological depths, not into the outer depths, but into the deep psychological depths, you must come to it afresh, mustn't you? You can't accept either Jung, Freud, or the latest psychologist. You say, I really don't know. Let's find out. I should think that would be fun. No?
What are you trying to find out?
We'll see. There may be nothing to find out.
Well, if there's nothing,
But
a goal or something to find out.
how do you find what do you mean by a goal? Some fixed point.
Yeah, something.
Now, who is going to fix that point?
Your frustrations.
Huh?
The frustration is within.
So why are you frustrated? Say, inquire, sir, why are you frustrated? I want a house, nice big house, and I haven't got it, so I feel frustrated. I feel frustrated because sexually I'm not satisfied. I'm frustrated, right? I want to achieve nirvana or heaven or moksha or Krishna consciousness or achieve what Jesus talked about, and I can't, I feel frustrated. Right? So I say, why do you have goals at all? You're not revolutionary at all of you. Huh?
And to just be frustrated because you don't have integrity too.
Wait.
To just be frustrated.
So look, why do we feel frustrated? That's first, let's begin with that, shall we? Do you want to? Why? What do you mean by frustration? I want to go in that direction, I am blocked. Right? My desire, my purpose, my intention says I must go there. And I'm blocked. And I feel frustrated. But I don't examine before I set my direction why I want to go in that direction. No? Come on, sirs, I'm talking. Why am I set to move in that direction?
An uneasiness with your present condition.
So I have to say, now before I can fix a goal, I must find out in what direction I want to move, right? Why do I want a direction? You people, come on, sir.
You have a desire.
Huh? In order to be better? In order to be honest?
Well, this desire is motivating us toward this goal. We desire them.
Desire for what?
In order to like yourself more.
Beg pardon?
In order to like yourself more.
Like yourself more. In order to like myself more. Do I dislike myself now?
Probably if you're frustrated.
Why do I dislike myself? Therefore, find out what is myself, to like or dislike. What is myself? Come on, please.
That might be it, partly like not knowing the self.
No, so what is, look, sir, what is myself? What is yourself?
I don't know.
Therefore, why do you dislike yourself?
Maybe if you knew yourself, you'd like it. You'd like yourself if you knew.
No, before I like or dislike myself, I must first find out what is myself, mustn't I? Now, what is myself?
I think there's different layers of self.
Which means, let's say, let's go off all over let's take that one thing and say, now, what is myself?
Memories of personal experience.
Are yourself the conditioning of a particular culture called the American culture? Are you?
In part, I'd say yes. We'd have to be.
So you are part of a culture.
In so much as we choose to participate.
So you begin to find out, don't you? You say, by Joe, I am a Hindu, or an American, the Hindu with all the tradition, you follow? All the myths, all the superstitions. That the Hindus say there is God in me, so I am part of that God. You follow? And the Hindus say there is the Atman, the permanent entity in me, and I accept all that. The myth, the tradition, the superstition, the belief, the cultural structure of a society which has been established for 3,000 or 5,000 years, and with all its myth, I am that. No?
But there's a part of you that rises really.
Wait, first let's begin with the fact.
Okay.
Don't let it go off into heaven before. That is what I am. Like a German says, I'm a German. nationality, culture, the music, the painting, the climate, the food, the wars. You follow? Or the communists say, I'm a communist. So you are the product of the environment in which you have lived, obviously. Both physical, biological, and spiritual, religious, right? You are all that. So what is that? Go into it a little more, go into it. What is that? Are there words? Images? When I say I'm a Hindu being a Brahmin, what does that all mean? All these things that have been poured into me.
We associate ourselves.
Huh?
We associate ourselves with
Who is we?
Okay, I associate
Now,
myself.
who is the I that says I am part of all that? Are the two different? So if I am serious, I say, look, I must throw all this out. Empty the mind of all this. And see what happens. I may be just living in a nebulous state of nothingness because I reject all the Hinduism, you follow? All the things that have been poured into me for the last centuries. And I say, no, that's all. What have they poured into me? What have they told me? Images, myths. And I have lived according to that myth, which has given me certain security, socially. I don't know if you're following all this. Am I going too fast?
Doesn't that kind of separate you, though, if you're taking the I and saying you're going to throw out everything else and then look into yourself? It's like there's two parts of you and one part is doing the watching. Well, how do you know that the I that's doing the watching isn't biased? And how do you know...
We're going to find out. We're going to find out. But first, I must realize all that I am is the result of my environmental education. The tradition, all that. Right? Now, how is it possible to empty all that without creating a duality? You understand? I don't know if you're interested in this.
But if you empty everything, then how can you make any...
I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out whether I can empty it. You follow, sir? I must find out what it is that the mind, the brain is capable of doing. You understand?
I wonder if you can really do that and still function in whatever part
So,
you have to play in society.
I'm going to find out. I don't know whether I should play any part in this society. Why should I? You follow, sir?
In a sense, but if
I question everything, right? You tell me I must play a part in this society. Why should I? In this rotten society? Wars, you follow all that's happened. Why should I play a part in it? I can only play a part in it when I'm very clear. And I can't be clear if I retain all my Indian conditioning. And you retain all your Christian conditioning, all your whatever it is, communist conditioning. So we are divided.
But can you take what you've learned from your environment, set it aside for the moment, and then absorb things from other environments, and then put them together?
So look, is that possible? I have been educated in India, in Europe, in the various kind of cultures, if you examine all the cultures, they're more or less similar. Right? They've got a myth. You know what a myth? A story, a tradition, an image of some deity, superhuman, handed down through generation, that becomes reality. And that the image holds me in my behavior. You follow? Shapes my behavior. I must be a good Christian or a good Hindu, which means I must behave. You following all this? That gives to society a stability. Right? In America, for example, you have no tradition. Right? Have you? Wait. Go slowly. Have you a tradition? What is it?
All our holidays, things that we celebrate.
Which is what? Taken over from Europe. Which is Judaic. You follow? You brought it all over and you're trying to conform. And yet you're rebelling against all that.
You have a political tradition too.
So you begin to see what it means. You have a political tradition of democracy, and you play tricks with all that. You know what's happening, I don't have to tell you. So deeply, a group of people like this country, a marvelous world this is, I won't go into all that. You are now living in a permissive society. You follow? Different communes, anti-war. You follow? Racial and anti-racial. All that's happening in America. The terrible things that are happening. What does that all indicate? Go on, sir, examine it.
That people are beginning to question.
Which means what? They are questioning the very traditions, you follow? The very myths.
Very authoritative.
So the thing is breaking up.
Sir, but if one questions, doesn't one question with the entity that's conditioned or confused? And how can one see what is real?
That's what we're going to do, sir. Just a minute. We're going to find out. There are several things involved in this, aren't there? Each one is conditioned according to the environment, culture it lives in. That's obvious, right? Right? Now, that conditioning separates people. You have your conditioning, I have my conditioning. The Muslim, the Hindu, the Christian, the Jew, you follow the Arab. So, you see, where there is division, there must be conflict. Right? Whether in myself or outwardly. Right? So, if there is to be no conflict in the world, there must be freedom from division in myself. Right? Which means there must be not a spark or a touch of the Hindu in me. Right? Now, is that possible? Is it possible for the mind, which has been conditioned for 5,000 years, you follow, in a certain culture, with all its traditions, with its myths, is it possible for that mind to uncondition itself? Go on, sir, examine it.
Is it possible?
Is it possible?
That's what we're here for.
Now, you are here for that? No. You are here to find out how to, if it is possible.
It's possible, at least for me, from only a little while, and I find myself picking
We're
up
going to go into that, sir. First, see the importance of having a mind free from its conditioning. Is that, first of all, possible? Or it must be so heavily conditioned, you follow, so that it will behave. After all conditioning is established in order to bring about a pattern of behavior. No?
You mean one conditioned enough so that he never questions? He accepts everything.
Of course.
Just as it is.
But when you reject conditioning...
I don't reject it. We are examining it.
Because if you're trying to free yourself of it, if you...
Madam, I don't say you must be free yourself from it. All that I'm saying is first see the implications of it. Not what to do or how to do, whether it is possible. First see what happens.
Sort of like you'd say, I'm conditioned, where am I heading towards? What's going to happen?
Oh, yes.
What are our choices?
I'm pointing out, sirs, that as in this country, there is no deep-rooted conditioning, right? Do you understand?
Specific to America.
I'm taking this country. There is no deep, established behavior pattern. It's permissive. It is linguistically, semantically searching for a pattern. It is searching for a way of life which will be not antisocial, which will include everything, which will not pollute the earth, the sea, to live a way where you yourself are not polluted. But if you have a heavily conditioned, you wouldn't be doing all this. You say, well, what are you talking about? I am established. I don't know if you've, right? So, not being totally established, you're seeking.
What
Right?
are you established in?
What?
What are you established in? I mean, you say you're established, but...
In my tradition. As a Hindu, I've been brought up in a tradition that says, you must not do this, you must do that. You must behave this way. You must not kill. Whether it's good pattern, bad, that's irrelevant.
But is it possible to just divest yourself of all of that at once, and not pick it up again later on?
So is that possible, sir, for a mind? Just examine it. Don't come to any conclusion yet. Is it possible for a mind that has been so long conditioned, both superficially and very deeply, what may be called the unconscious, which I personally don't like to use that word, very deeply, is it possible for the content of consciousness, to say, examine it and put it away, all the content? Now, to pursue that right through, you follow, is what I call a serious man. But man who plays around, you follow. Who says, 1 year I spoke, I'll take marijuana, next year I'll in, third year I'll go to Vedanta, fourth year I'll go to, you follow?
Then what
Such.
you're saying is completely examine the culture or environment that you've been put in, instead of trying to find another one without finishing the one.
That's right, sir. That's right.
Examine the danger of being arrested by a concept.
Yeah, that's right. Danger of being caught in a concept and living according to a concept. Whether it is the concept is religious, a sociological, or a mythical concept. The Greeks had it, the Romans, you follow? The Christian myth. With their Jesus word, you follow? It's all a myth. I heard on television when I was in England some time ago, last year it was, the Archbishop of Canterbury, you know what that is, was being interviewed. And the interviewer asked him, he said, "Sir, what do you say about all the various other religions? There's Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, you know." Oh, he said, they're all little truths, part truths. And some of them are right. But we have one thing which nobody has. And the interviewer said, "What is that?" Huh? He said, "Jesus Christ." Now, look, just listen to it. Listen to it. A man who is old, established, who is the head of a church. So, to say such an immature thing, you follow?
And yet, did he say that was the best thing that none of the others had? Or he was just simply stating
his religion was unique because he had Jesus Christ.
And yet the others are unique because they have their Buddha or whatever else, right?
You see,
so it's irrelevant. It doesn't make any
exactly.
sense.
He is conditioned according to the religious. You follow? And the Buddha said, "Please, ours is the Hindu." So it's also childish. So, let's proceed step by step. Can the mind, which is your mind, which is the mind of the world, whether they call it Christian, Hindu, Buddhism, Islam, it's mind of the world, which is conditioned, whether it's conditioned religiously or socially, which is you must compete. You must make a success of your life. Success of your life, being big house, cars, you follow? Success. Or you must become famous. Or you must be totally integrated. I don't know. These are all concepts, you understand, which have been established, which the mind is conditioned to. Right? Now can my mind, your mind, look at all this conditioning? Not say, I must get rid of this, I must get rid of that, or keep this or that. Look at it. Can you look at it?
I think we can be aware of it.
All right, be aware of it. Can you be aware?
We can't just check it out, but you can be aware of it all the time.
Wait, don't say all the time, little. Just go slowly, we'll find out. Can you be aware of your conditioning?
Or you look at your conditioning with a mind that has been conditioned.
We're going to find out, quite right. Which means what? I am looking with a mind at my conditioning, right? And that mind is also conditioned, right? So I am looking at myself with my conditioned mind at the various other conditionings. One part which is conditioned looks at the various other parts which are also conditioned. One part says, I am superior to the other conditioning, I must get rid of these, and I keep my... You follow? So that is the problem, right? The problem is, one part says to the other parts, I am better than all of you. I will discard all of you, or I'll keep some of you. So the one part becomes the dominant part, right? Are you follow? And there begins the conflict, right? One part says, I am dominant, this is what should be done, I'm going to control the other parts. I don't know if you... Don't you do all this?
You're talking about something so basic that we don't even realize that we're doing it.
I mean, so either we talk fundamental basic things or superficial things. I prefer talking about the basic things, otherwise we'll waste time. So, there it is. So the Hindu, listen to this thing. The Hindus, with their culture, say there is the part that looks at all the other parts is the highest self, the Atman. So the Hindu says there is the Atman which discards all these, has to fight all these various parts. The Christian puts it in a different way. Right? So, that is a fact. One part says to the other part, out, or keep some. And there is a conflict between that one major part, which is will, right? And the other parts, which are feeble or which are constantly in conflict. So there is a battle between the one part and the rest. Isn't that so? Come on, sir.
It's habit.
Right? Habit. So what shall I do?
Stop just right where you are. Just stop.
I am stopped. I have looked at it. I see what has happened. One part is in battle with the other part. I've stopped now. And then I say, all right, what shall I do? Is that the way to live? One part in constant battle with other parts? One part may be for 5 years, you follow, different from other. It's this battle. What shall I do? Tell me, sirs.
Perhaps just accept it.
And that means I live in conflict.
Accept both facts.
I do. But there's always one factor says this is a better way of living. This is better formula.
Yeah.
This is a better concept. This is a better ideal. A greater myth. So there is always a battle going on. And I die battling. Right? So what shall I do? Is that what... Now, just a minute. Look at it. That's what all the religions have offered. Right? That's what all the gurus offer. The various societies, various organizations, you must fight, you must battle. Devil is in you, or God is in you, you must battle, battle, battle. Right?
Yeah, that's just on the plane of where you're living at that time.
Not only outwardly, inwardly.
Then one possible way of overcoming that, except that you'd be stuck in the same position, only be a different culture, would to be born into another culture. And then you...
I am here, sir.
I know, but this...
It doesn't solve it.
Scratch
It's
that.
just like, you just pick up the same problem, whether I go and learn your religion having rejected mine. It's just the same problem.
I'm a human being, whether I'm a communist, a Democrat, Republican, a Hindu, Islam, I'm a human being. Those are all labels. But the basic fact is, there is this battle going on in me.
Isn't it only a battle if you do take your conditioning seriously?
I've taken it dreadfully seriously. I've come to a point when I say there's a battle between the conscious and the unconscious. The better myth compared to the old myth, a better concept, better idea. You follow, sir? Battle. Now, is there a different way of looking at all this without this conflict? You follow? I see this pattern repeated in India, whether they are the Brahmins, Buddhists, every type. I see this happening in Europe, whether Catholic, Protestant, Baptist, God knows what. And in America, it's the same problem, you understand, sir? Put in different words, different phrases, different concepts. It's the same problem. Yes, sir.
Isn't it more difficult when you're talking about concepts and phrases and sentences because we're so conditioned to take the meaning of the sentence? Why don't you take each individual word in a sentence and just discard the meaning of each word individually?
Yes, sir, we can do that. We more or less explain the word conditioning. That is, the mind absorbing through education, through family tradition, through the mother, father, the temple, the church, books. Mind is shaped according to the culture in which it lives, right? And this culture says fight, outwardly and inwardly. You follow? Seek peace in heaven, but fight on earth. Don't kill your neighbor, but kill him all the same. Right, sir? This is the culture we are brought up in. And I say to myself, is there a way of living without any conflict? I don't say there is or there is not. You follow, sirs? I want to find out. Now, how do you set about it?
Parts of you battling against another part, you have one dominant.
Well, that is one part dominating the rest.
Right.
The rest, can they be dominated? One part says, I must think only of Jesus. Or only of this. But the other part say, look,
what about me? Well,
I want money, I want position, I want power, I'm greedy. You follow?
If they were totally dominated, they wouldn't be there.
What do you mean? How can one part dominate the others? They can't. That's what they have tried.
I know, that's what it can't dominate it, or they wouldn't be there.
That.
Those thoughts keep coming back.
So what do you do?
Find one where there's nothing.
Wait, no, fine, sir. I'll go into it. Don't reject it. Go away, examine it.
It would seem to get rid of the battle, you'd have to get rid of that element in your mind that produces the battle, that element which judges and compares various
Now,
things.
so you begin to say, watch it, which is, where there is comparison, there must be conflict.
Yes.
No, wait, sir, wait. It's very difficult. Don't. Comparison.
When something is better than something, well, that's a comparison.
Of course, it's comparison. I compare myself with you, who are taller, more intelligent, more bright, and I'm better, right? I must be like you. I must be like Jesus, like Krishna, like somebody else. I have short hair, I must have long hair. You follow? So, comparison implies imitation. No? And our culture is based on imitation. No? So can I live now without comparing? Go on, sir.
If you don't compare the choices of what you have to do, then
No,
how do you
don't.
decide to do it?
You find out. I see the implications of comparing.
They create the battle.
Battle, imitation, frustration, right? Because I have a concept, an ideal, and I try to imitate that ideal. I compare myself with those who have achieved that ideal. At least I think they have achieved. And so, through comparison, I see there must be competition, spiritual as well. Through comparison, I see there must be imitation, and therefore frustration, therefore a battle, and so on. So can I live a life without comparing myself with anybody?
Only by destroying the ego.
Huh?
Only by destroying the ego, it seems to me.
No, wait, don't live, find out how to live without comparing.
Living is comparing.
What?
Living is comparing. I mean,
Living is comparing?
yeah.
That's what we are used to.
Is there any way to live without comparing?
Look, I paint, I'm a painter. I paint. But I see somebody else getting all the money, all the praise, and I say, by Joe, I must be better than him. You don't you know all this? I fight. So can I paint without any comparison?
No, I don't think you can. You must have a standard.
You want, sir?
A standard.
A standard? What do you mean by a standard?
Something to compare.
Why should I compare? Why should I compare with anybody? Not that I am somebody. Why should I compare?
Well, there is a certain lifestyle that one tries to bring their life into conformity with. That's a comparison.
Now, why do I conform? What is conformity? Let's begin again. What is conformity?
Well, one tries to conform their life to the will of God. There's a standard.
Do we know?
Do you conform? You have long hair, some of you. Are you conforming?
I'm trying to. I'm making a little bit of progress.
No, I want to examine it, sir, from the very beginning. I want to find out if I am conforming. I put on blue jeans in this country, or trousers. In India, I don't. Is that conforming? Yes?
Only to a certain
Wait, go into it, examine it, don't say yes or no.
But wouldn't that be more of a respect for that environment?
That's all.
Well, it takes away conflict too. At the same time.
I put on the trousers because I don't want to, go around looking like some odd person. I said, for goodness sake, conform. If they put on trousers, put on trousers. But watch it. So, I've never eaten meat in my life. And you all eat meat. Would I conform to that? You smoke, you take drugs, and so on. Would I conform to all that? So I begin to find out where is the line between psychological conformity and ordinary physical conformity. I must conform to the how I drive. You follow? So where psychologically do I conform? Inquire, go into it.
So in each person's line of conformity would be different.
Well, you'll find out that there is such a thing as different conformities. Or psychologically, if you conform or don't come, there is no difference. To find out, to spend some time to see where conformity begins and where it's easy, natural, and where it becomes deadly.
Deadly to what?
Why should I imitate anybody?
But you're obviously basing it on some judgment.
I don't know. But why should I imitate my guru?
No, I see that.
Why should I have a hero? Why should I have an ideal? Which are all implications of conformity. But if you say this to a communist society or a dictatorial society, they say, what are you talking about? How can you, if each one, you follow, doesn't conform, then you'll have no communist society at all. So they destroy you, put you in a madhouse or whatever they do. So you have to find out in yourself how far or how deep this conformity is. And can the mind stand without conforming? So this is real meditation, you understand? Not all that phony stuff they talk about.
But how can you just look at all this?
I'm going to show you, sir. Go into it. Unless you do this step by step, you won't be able to go further. You see, conflict wastes energy. Obviously. Now, how is my mind, this mind, the mind which is the human mind, whether it's born in India or in Europe or here, how is that mind to live without comparing at all? Go on, son, and do it.
Maybe people think too much. Stop. Maintain awareness, but
Big one?
maintain your awareness, but Put it into thought, put it into concept.
Maintain? I couldn't. What?
Maintain your awareness.
Maintain your awareness.
Stop
No.
thinking about
Wait. You see,
about
you're saying stop thinking, stop comparing. Who is to stop it? Who is? Big pardon?
That's another conflict.
Yeah.
In order to stop thinking.
You see, I think she means, if I understand rightly, to be aware. I don't want to go into that at present because the implications are a great many in that. Just look, I see very clearly the implications, the meaning, the significance of what it means to compare, right? Can I live a life without comparing? Which means never use the word better. Never feel that you are improving. You
It should also mean you're just satisfied with yourself the way you are.
Does it? If you don't compare, does it mean being satisfied?
Well, either that or you're not interested in improving yourself.
Does it? Please examine it. Have you tried not to compare?
It means you don't think about it.
Or it equates everything on an equal plane, and everything is equal, so there is no conflict. Nothing better, nothing worse.
No, sir, you're just guessing this.
It seems like when I just look at it, I can look at it to a certain depth, and then it gets to be too much. I can't. I react. You know.
So next question is, how do you look? Here I am. I realize I'm conditioned as a Hindu, or a Christian, or Buddhist, or Mohammedan, all the rest of the stuff, communist and so on. Now, I realize intellectually, verbally, that I am conditioned. Conditioned not only at the superficial level of consciousness, but deep down. Now, how do I look at it is very important, right? How do you look at it? Are you looking at the description which I have given? Therefore, you are looking at the words, and through the words, looking at the thing described. You're following this? You have understood what I said? Not quite. I said you're all conditioned. We are conditioned. I've described what it means to be conditioned. Are you looking at your conditioning through the description which I have given? You see the difference? You learn the description, and then apply the description, and thereby watch. Can you look without the description?
It has to be new each time that way, then.
What's that?
It has to be totally new each time.
That's what I... Wait, you're jumping to a conclusion. Don't do it. Look, sir, I say, what a lovely mountain that is. Are you carried out... Do you feel the beauty of it because of the description of with vitality with which I say, or do you actually see the beauty of it? If you actually see the beauty of it, which is entirely different from my description of it, then you are in contact with it. So,
if you can become, if you're looking at yourself and you're getting, deeply into yourself, and you're beginning to realize your motives and things like that for doing things, you can look at them and they make you feel like they're eating you alive just to look at them. It's hard not to turn away, or it's hard not to
I'm
react.
asking, sir, how you look at them. Do you look at them as a separate entity? Look, when you look at that mountain, you look at it as here, sitting here, and that is different. So, you understand? There is a division.
Yourself looking at the mountain.
Big one?
You're looking at yourself looking at the mountain, and you're saying to yourself that the lovely mountain, as you're looking at yourself looking at it.
So can you look at yourself, can you look at that mountain without the word?
Well, you'd like to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't you have to look at your reaction to the mountain in the same way that you look at the
That's
mountain itself?
That's what I'm saying, sir. Can you look at something without the reaction of your or verbal reaction? You follow? There is a first verbal reaction, then your own reaction to the verbal reaction. And then you say, that's lovely mountain, or whatever it is. So can you look at that mountain without a word? Without the image that you have about the mountain?
Is it not true that the moment you introduce the word, you introduce the possibility for comparison?
Of course, sir. But we are caught in words. The word America is a word, right? But we are caught in words. Because the words are a symbol, the symbol being a myth. You could. So can you look at something, at that tree, mountain, at your friend, boy, girl, can you look without the word? This way, this is, try it. Because the word is the past. Isn't it? And you look through the eyes, through the words which are the past. So you are never looking. I don't know if you see this.
How can you think without using words?
No, just try it, sir, what I'm saying first. Look at the mountain without the word.
I get other words. I always get other words.
That's just it.
Like rocks, trees.
That means can you look at that without the movement of thought, which is word?
So it's a brand new mountain that instant, not a concept.
That's right, sir. Which means that when you have a concept, you are living in the past. Wait, put it around that another way. I know you because I met you here. I know your name, your face. And when I say I know you as the past, right? I have an image of you which is the past. So I'm looking at you with the image which I have about you, or concept and so on and so on. So I'm not really looking at you at all. And our relationship is based on that. Whether you're a man, woman, child, husband, wife, boy or girl, you have an image about her and she has an image about you. And the two images are looking at each other. No? And that you call a relationship. Now, can you look without the image? That means, can you look always anew? You follow? Oh, that becomes too difficult for you. That's why we all start on something very simple, which is comparison. Can you live a life without comparing? Do you know what it does to you? You throw off such burden. You understand, sir? You have no burden at all. So when you are looking at yourself, comparing, how do you look at yourself without the battle, saying, I mustn't compare? You follow? The moment you say, I mustn't compare, you're in battle. But if you really understand the implications of comparison, understand it, not verbally, but really understand, then you observe it without the image that you mustn't compare. I don't know. Are you following? Probably student.
Can you actually do that?
Find out. Find out, sir. Find out. Spend some time. 10 minutes over this question. Whether you can live in this world without comparing. You know what it does to you? Oh, you'll find out. Because then you are terribly honest. Understand? We are dishonest when we are comparing.
By not comparing, do you mean just not comparing yourself to something else, or just not even comparing different choices that you have to make about what
Of course, I choose this. You follow, there's different. I compare one material with another material, one shirt with another shirt. I compare, say, this bigger mountain and a hill, bigger river than a little river. But I'm talking inwardly, psychologically. To live a life without comparing, psychologically. Therefore one must, when you do that, you become terribly honest. You follow? And can you bear such honesty?
Comparison is then based on. Comparison is then based on past images.
And future images.
So then, in comparing things, you have to take past images of each environment as you come to it.
No, sir. Look at it this way, if I may suggest. First of all, what is this urge to compare? Why have we this urge to compare?
For conformity.
No, go begin, sir. Go find out. It begins at school, doesn't it?
It begins from the very beginning.
The mother says, you're not so bright as John is. In the family. In the school, you get, the A gets better marks than B, right? teacher says you're dumb, you much better, etc. So there it is. It begins with childhood, doesn't it? And we carry that on right through life. So can you understand the root of comparison? Which is, we feel when we are comparing, struggling, fighting, we are alive. Right? When that comparison doesn't exist, we feel, my God, what am I? We are used to the habit of comparing. That's part of our conditioning. So psychologically, are there any traces in me which are the result of comparison? I watch. I watch how I talk to you. Whether you're a governor of this state or whether you're the legislature, I watch. Then in myself, I know when I'm comparing, therefore I become very honest. You follow? I don't deceive myself.
So we must eliminate unnecessary comparison?
I said, sir, look, when you live, you have to compare, haven't you? Better gramophone, cheaper gramophone, better carb. You follow? You have to compare. But we are talking of inward comparison. Psychologically, how it affects not only the outer comparison, but also when there is any comparison inwardly, there is imitation, conformity, fear, not being like the others, might lose your job. You follow? The whole thing is involved. So can you find out how to live without comparison? That requires, tremendous awareness. Do you compare when you love? Huh?
I think love is enjoyment.
Say, wait, find out, sir. You don't know. Don't formulate. But you can compare pleasure, can't you? No? So, you say to yourself, I know I can compare yesterday's pleasure to tomorrow's pleasure, right? And is pleasure love? I mean, don't say yes or find out, go into it. What's that?
Self-love.
Yeah, of course, self-love and
But it's not the type of love that I think we're talking about.
I don't know what type of love it is, but I mean, love God and love man.
Yes.
And this, all the love which every cinema shows. Wait, take everything. Don't say one and discard the other. the sexual love, the love of I love you because you give me money, shelter, you protect me. It's not, you follow? I love you because you have given me pleasure. And I love you also in that there is jealousy, fear, anxiety. Oh, no.
So that person would be looking at the past and projecting into the future.
No, this is what we are doing. This is not projection. This is an actual fact of daily life.
Okay, now then, every thought.
That is, you see this whole pattern of life which man has led, right? Up to now. And it is based, one of the factors of that is comparison. Now, to see the complications of it, the intricacies of it, the beauty of it, what is implied in all, and see it not as something out there, in here. Because you are part of all that. You are the world. You can't stop pollution unless you stop pollution here. And it is a pollution to compare myself with somebody else. Not that I want, that I am somebody, but it is, why should I compare with Jesus or with anybody? Because it means, when I do, I want to be something different from what I am. Now, what am I? You follow? I can only find out if I stop comparing. What am I? A lot of words, identification with the furniture. Go on, sir. With my images, with my formulas, with my experiences. I'm all that, right? Which is the past and projected into the future. I'm all that. So what is that? So that me is just non-existence except verbally.
That recognition gives one, that acceptance gives one sort of more or less like a victory, doesn't it?
And one lives in chaos. Being chaotic inwardly, we want to create beauty around us. Stop pollution, better politics, better, you follow better Nixons, better, all the rest of it. Is that enough for this morning? So begin, if I may suggest, begin with something very small. Don't jump over the mountains. Begin something you can get hold of. Begin there. Like comparison. Begin with that, and you will see what you explore, what you will find. It's nearly 1 o'clock. It is 1 o'clock. Yes, sir. You better stop, don't you?
Well, just one more question. When you learn, aren't you comparing with what is teaching you?
So what is learning?
Well, it's
Look, it's a very complex thing, learning.
Mm-hmm.
What is learning?
Isn't it?
Is learning accumulation of knowledge?
I suppose.
Huh?
Superficial level.
Huh?
On superficial levels, it is.
At any level. Look, I learn a language. I learn a language, which is I have accumulated words, how to put the words together, verbs, all that, and that becomes my knowledge. And I use that knowledge to convey to you in Italian, French, whatever it is, Spanish, whatever it is, English. That's one kind of learning, isn't it? No? I learn through experience that fire burns. Right? I learn through smoking that I mustn't smoke. What? I learn after killing 1 million people that it's unwise to kill people. So, learning is part of experience, isn't it? Which is the past. So, I have accumulated a lot of knowledge, how to go to the moon, and also have accumulated a lot of knowledge how to live with people, to deceive people, to put on a mask, to, play with people. How to exploit them, when not to exploit them, when to be quiet, when not to follow. I've learned an awful lot through experience. Which is, learning is a form of accumulation of knowledge as experience. So, learning in action is to carry out that action, that knowledge in action. No? Isn't it? Aren't you following all this? Now, is there a different kind of learning altogether? Which is, as far as I see, learning is accumulating knowledge and using that knowledge as a means of living. As a means of technological progress, as a means of doing things. So, as long as I am acting, thinking, feeling in terms of knowledge, I'm always living in the past. Because knowledge is the past. Right? Now, is there a learning which is always present? Though I must have knowledge of the past, you follow? Otherwise you can't go from here to your house. So is there a learning where there is not an accumulation? You follow, sir? Play with it, sir. Enjoy it, you'll find out. See, the revolutionaries want to create a world socially differently. Physical revolution, changing the structure of the present established order. They hope through that way to bring a different kind of man, which the French Revolution, Communist Revolution, you follow? They haven't done it. Because inwardly they are not revolutionary. Outwardly they are revolutionary. I don't know if you follow. Inwardly they are comparing, they are, you follow, Marx becomes their god or some other. It's the same thing, only different form. And yet they want to settle with him. So better stop now, don't you?